Well, good evening and welcome to the Night Circus, our concert for this evening, and a special welcome to those joining us online. It's great to have you joining us tonight in that way. We are looking forward to a wonderful and delightful evening of music and poetry and everything else that Bess and Rob have in store for us this evening. And so we want to say a thank you in advance to Bess and Rob for giving us this opportunity to enjoy their gifts and their artistry. As I say, we're very much looking forward to what you have prepared for us this evening. You can read their bios in the program that you were given as you came in, so I don't need to add anything to that. But just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. And there are washrooms, two options for women. There's a washroom just out the back here over underneath the exit sign. And a women's and a men's washroom in the hallway that way. And if you don't know what that way means, there's ushers at the back there to kind of point you if you need that. I don't know if flash photography is a thing anymore, but if you're taking photos, we invite you, please don't use flash for that. And then just to let you know, you've probably read and already are aware of, your donations tonight, which are your admission to the concert, are going to support the 3030 Gordon Homeless Shelter. And so at this time, I'd just like to invite Val Newton forward. She is our congregational rep to the Tri-Cities Affordable Housing and Homelessness Task Force, the group that was behind the establishment of the 3030 Gordon Shelter. And she's just going to say a couple of things to give you a little bit of context for what where your donations are going and what they're supporting tonight.
Good evening. 3030 Gordon was the very first permanent homeless shelter to be built in the Tri-Cities. It opened its doors in 2015, and it's located on Gordon Avenue, just off Westwood in Coquitlam. The shelter is comprised of 30 single unit rooms. They also have 3 10-bed dorm rooms that are opened during times of challenging weather, with temperatures hovering around 0 or prolonged heavy rain events. They also have 30 transitional units that are small apartments, a bed, small living space, kitchenette, and a full bathroom. The residents that live in the transitional units do all their own cooking, and those that are in the single rooms receive 3 full meals a day. The shelter is considered a low barrier shelter, and I can give you some examples of that. One is when the folks first come to the shelter. Some of them have a lot of personal items that they want to bring with them, and it just doesn't fit into a single room. So the shelter has ample storage area right on site that they can store all of their personal effects and keep it secure. Secondly, the shelter is pet friendly, which is a really big plus to some of the residents. And thirdly, the folks do not have to be drug-free to be accepted into the shelter. The staff there have programs to assist people with their alcohol addiction, drug addiction, and as well mental health issues. So in short, 3030 Gordon is making a big difference in the lives of the homeless in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. And just one last note, and that is that our concert this evening will be about an hour long with no intermission. So if you didn't have a chance to enjoy some coffee or tea beforehand, we invite you to partake of that after the concert. And during the time here, just devote your attention to the beautiful music that you will be enjoying. So without further ado, I present the Night Circus.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. I want to particularly thank Moans for harp transport, because this harp, it's called the Grand Tiara, and it was made by a harp maker in Chilliwack named Glenn Cuthbertson. So, pretty grand names. A lot of people don't know the difference between lever harps and concert harps, and this is a lever harp or a folk harp, even though it looks like a concert harp. And it's the size of a concert harp, but levers, you see these lever things, you know. A harp behaves pretty much like all the white keys on a piano, and if you want black keys, you have to flip a lever to get a sharp. And if you're going to ask me, well, how do you get a flat? The answer is, well, you don't. So there's some limitations to the instrument, which is, really an early music instrument. But within those limitations, there's some really, really beautiful music that's possible from it, which I hope to introduce you to some tonight. But back to the reason I am so thankful for Moans, it's because Moans has a van. It turns out that when we were trying to figure out how to transport this harp, my husband Rob drives a Tesla, and it's not one of the big Teslas. So there we were at Christmas time. Our son Jess was helping him try to load the harp into the Tesla. First, Rob built this beautiful harp stretcher thing. And so they stuck it in and it didn't fit. So we said, let's try it backwards. So they stuck it in backwards and it didn't fit. So then we said, let's take it off the stretcher. And there they tried it and it didn't fit. So Jess said, Mom, I think it's because the harp is so wide down there. And I looked at him and I said, are you calling my harp fat? Because it is not fat. It is Rubenesque. But it didn't fit. So thank you, Moans, for coming to pick us up with the harp. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to play Greensleeves next because everybody loves Greensleeves and they love it on the harp. And whenever you say you play the harp, someone says, do you play Greensleeves? And so you say yes because you play the harp. What's interesting about Greensleeves is that it was actually not written by Henry VIII for Anne Boleyn. So most people think it was written by Henry VIII for one of his wives. And Greensleeves actually arrived from Italy in the mid-15th or late 15th century, actually after Henry died. The other thing interesting about Greensleeves is that it is associated with ladies of easy virtue. And the reason for this is because if you showed up with your sleeves stained green, you may have been rolling in the grass where you shouldn't. So Rob will read to us the lyrics for Greensleeves now. Thank you.
Alas, my love, you do me wrong to cast me off discourteously, and I have loved you oh so long, delighting in your company. And who but my lady Greensleeves, thy petticoat of sendal white, with gold embroidered gorgeously, thy petticoat of silk and white, and these I bought gladly. Greensleeves was my delight, Greensleeves my heart of gold, Greensleeves was my heart of joy, and who but my lady Greensleeves?
The next two songs I'm going to play are Celtic dances. And I don't know how familiar you are with Celtic music, but a lot of it burrows back and forth, Irish, Scottish, Gaelic. There's some bits in France, and they call the same tune different things. And so the first one I'm going to play is commonly called Banished Misfortune among harpists. It also goes by the name Love and Freedom with lyrics, and my favorite, it's called The Stoat That Ate Me Sandals. And in case you guys don't know what a stoat is, it's a little weaselly thing that comes from the urban family. And the reason I have to explain this was because Rob didn't know what a stoat was, and he kept going, "What's a stoat?" So I said, "It's a weasel, okay?" So now you know, all right? And if you need to look it up, you can check Wikipedia yourself. The second one I'm going to do is a reel called The Musical Priest, and it's an Irish reel, although, again, it's got its roots in something Scottish called Belhelvie House, and it goes by another name called The New Bridge of Erin. So, The Night Circus, which is the title of our show, is actually a book. It's a book called The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and it's a story of two people who are in a magical competition, and the battleground is a circus which is not always there. I wrote poetry and music loosely based on the book, so we'll see what you think of it. There is a series of 5 poems and 5 songs. Please hold your applause till we get to the end.
The night circus arrives on the edge of a dream as dark turns to dawn. There's no warning, there's no sign, but when the town awakens, there are tents. They can hear the hammering and shouting, the trumpeting and roaring of animals, strange, jangly music from a calliope. Anticipation fills the air. Crowds gather at the entrance just before midnight. There is a rush when the doors open. Inside the tent, elephants parade with ballerinas twirling on top. Acrobats swing, flying through the air. Just beyond the gates of the night circus, there is a giant clock. Figurines travel back and forth on rails. The clock gushes water and fire. What a marvel it is. People stop to stare for a few moments, for minutes, for hours. And when they finally leave, they shake their heads, forgetting the passage of time. The clockmaker sits in a little booth to one side. He watches the watchers. He needs to be sure the complicated contraption works all night. But his clever creation is steady. So he sits and he nods off into his own dreams. The bicycles crisscross as they race around the ring. Clowns and acrobats tumble and flip frantically from seat to seat. Men and women dance between the wheels. They jump and climb into a human pyramid that breaks apart as a bicycle races through. The fortune teller sits in her tent alone. People come to see her about the future. Sometimes they want to know about the past. She reads lines in the palms of their hands or watches leaves settle in teacups. She strokes her crystal ball and murmurs secrets into eager ears. But she's really there to spy on two hearts who don't know their destiny. She watches their lives become entwined, the boy whom she once loved becoming a man who loves another. As light creeps into the sky again, the glitter loses its luster. The daring acts are less charged. The animals refuse to cooperate. The clock stops turning. The night circus looks tired and tawdry. The clouds gather slowly as the circus fades away and rain falls harder and harder. Thunder crashes and lightning ignites the sky. Finally, the sun blazes bright and only memories are left behind.
So most of you guys, you know, in North America, think about harpists as women with long hair and big dresses, pretty women playing soothing music. Well, in South America, it's a very different ballgame. Down there, it's the men who play the harp. And these are men. They play the harp like the men here ride Harley-Davidson motorcycles. You see these men, macho men, riding over the plain on their horses, harp in one hand, and their AK-47, that's a gun, in the other hand, you know? So if you were one of these harpists who was in love with a girl in a little village in Paraguay, you'd drag your harp through the quiet streets at night of your village, and you'd set yourself up under the window of the one you adore, and you'd get your harp ready. Above you, the stars would be shining, and you'd smell the sweet flowers and the tropical air and the red earth beneath you. And then you'd start to play. And you'd play with all the macho Harley-Davidson passion that you could muster. And you would stop, and you'd look up, and maybe you'd see a little twitch in the curtain up above you. And she would send down a rose which would twirl in the warm breeze and touch your cheek like a kiss. But if she didn't like you, she'd send down a rose with a flower pot attached.
The girl in the red skirt dances on her shadow on the sun-baked stones in the square. The castanets of her heels tap and click as she spins a ring around the fountain, dips her fingers into the pool, and writes, "Love, where are you?" in flowing letters on the shimmering midsummer air. The old men in the shade of the one tree watch in silence, for she has opened in each a scarlet wound of memories, and all they can do is sigh.
So the last two songs I'm going to do are laments because you gotta get a little lower down after that, right? And besides, you can't have a good concert without some depressing doom and gloom. Celtic music, much like opera, loves death and romance, which makes for good music. The poetry that Rob is going to read are actually lyrics that were written after the music was present. And it's called traditional music because nobody really knows who wrote the music. It's just kind of around, but the lyrics were written after that.
Down by the Sally Gardens, my love and I did meet. She passed the Sally Gardens with little snow-white feet. She bid me take love easy as the leaves grow on the tree. But I, being young and foolish, with her would not agree. In a field by the river, my love and I did stand, and on my leaning shoulder she laid her snow-white hand. She bid me take life easy as the grass grows on the weirs. But I was young and foolish, and now am full of tears. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses fallen. It's you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. I'll be there in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for that hour of such beautiful music. You know, I've always thought that the harp was the most impossible looking instrument to play. And you've completely affirmed that belief for me tonight.
It's transport.
Yeah, well, okay, that's right. At the same time, you have earned my eternal respect for being able to play that instrument and make such beautiful music with it. So thank you so much. And Rob, your narration, well done. Thank you so much. We have a little token of our appreciation for you. And so we'd like just to present you with a little gift in recognition of your gifts and your gift to us of your music tonight. So thank you again so much. And this is for you. I'd also like to just take a quick moment to thank some people without whom this evening wouldn't be possible. To David Stroud, who helped with a lot of the logistics, and David Wills back there on the hospitality table, and Michelle, who was there to take your donations. And really the ringmaster of this whole event, Jane Witter, who pulled so many pieces together and stewarded so many of the details and was the creator of so many of the little details that you see that's made this evening well. And for Moans, who drove the van, loaded the harp, and pressed all the buttons so you online could enjoy this too as well. So thank you to Moses and to Lily. You were the inspiration for this evening and introduced us to Bess and to Rob. And so thank you so much for that as well. And thank you to all of you for coming. It was great to have you here. We hope that you enjoyed your evening. I mean, how couldn't you have? And thank you for joining us online. If you didn't have a chance to enjoy some coffee or tea, there's there at the back. They're in takeout containers, so you can take that home with you if you'd like. And otherwise, we hope you enjoy your evening and have a safe journey home. Thank you for coming. Who would like an encore? All right, let's see if we can coax her into encore.